Welcome to a demonstration to CADMaster's CAD Standards Manager regarding Civil 3D styles and settings management. If you have additional questions, please use the contact information currently displayed on the screen. Currently, Autodesk's solution is to use templates to push across any styles between drawings. While valid, this can become limiting as templates change and update. CADMaster stores these styles in an external database for retrieval from a central location. The advantage is the ability for the CAD Manager to edit styles outside of Civil 3D for standard content such as layers, blocks, and textiles. First, we'd like to demonstrate the functionality of the user side of our software. While having two components, one being the user and one being the administration side, the user can only view the data and use the data. They cannot edit the content. We're first going to just show you how we can actually import styles from a database and have it update the drawing. So currently our scenario is we have some contours and some text the way that the civil designers want to see it. Let's say the survey wants to see it something differently. So the way that we split up our data here is we come in with our style set. So I'm going to change this for the survey discipline, and that's the way that they want to see it. And I'm just going to say go ahead and bring everything about the surfaces in. We're calling this a thematic view, so you can see the power of this in order for the user, if they use the same style names, that they can make the software and the styles look completely different depending on the municipality or who they're actually supplying the information to. So you can go back and forth between these two different styles as long as you name them correctly. So you got to be kind of clever on how your naming scheme is of your styles. You'll see here it's determining it's in the drawing. Do you want to overwrite? It's going through that process of importing it from the database and placing it in the drawing. Okay, so very simple. Same kind of thing. Points, let's say. Same kind of thing. As long as I'm coming into the right discipline and importing these styles, you can see here they'll change automatically as long as I go and say, yes, go ahead and update the styles. Okay, very, very simple. I can go back and forth between different disciplines as long as I store them that way. In a little bit, we will show you how the admin does this as well. Okay. So again, very quick to come back and forth between these things. So what I'm going to show you now is I have a completely clean drawing, absolutely nothing in it. If you look over here, no surface styles. If I look at the drawing settings, we have no object layers. We have the abbreviations all set incorrectly. So with our software, we actually can come in and import that data. Okay. So you'll see I have a display style here that shows my drawing settings, and I can pick and choose if I want all of them or what I want. I'm going to go ahead and bring all of them in so I can show you that as well. Once they're imported, you can see very quickly here, abbreviations update, object layers update. Okay, so depending on how it was saved, you can store this in a database, make modifications, and we'll show you the admin side here in a little bit as far as how to modify it outside of Civil 3D. Okay. So a very nice style as well is we have the ability to place these styles on tool palettes. We'll also show you later how to customize this in order for your company standard. So instead of having to come in here and look around, if you use some styles all the time, you can come in here and pick on these guys, and it automatically will insert that style very quickly. Okay. Not too bad at all. So we have the ability to also bring in styles, settings, as well as from a tool palette. Okay, same thing here as well. For those of you who's dealing with feature settings, in Civil 3D there's a lot of different settings that you can actually store, and these are the default styles, etc. We also have the ability to import feature settings. So drawing settings, feature settings, etc. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in here are the drawing settings. I'm not drawing settings, I do apologize. Into the feature settings, standard surface, I do apologize. Okay, I'm going to bring in the feature settings from a surface style here. What it's doing is behind the scenes is actually importing all the data necessary for that. So if I come in here, you'll notice here in the edit feature settings, I do have the ability to bring in those styles that will automatically populate the correct values as saved in the database. So we also have the ability for feature settings, drawing settings, and styles. Looking at this from a CAD manager point of view, we can now show you how we can extract styles from a drawing into the database and make changes outside of Civil 3D for the next use. So we have a drawing here that there's made plenty of styles in for a template, surface styles, label styles, etc. So you still have to create those styles inside of Civil 3D. Once they're created, I can then extract them. So we have an interface here for the administrator to come in and extract those styles. So there's many things that we can do. I'm going to go ahead and create a new style set called demonstration. And you'll see it's one in the list now. And what happens is this is the exact same list that you would see in the settings tab of Civil 3D. So you can really manage your styles and see the same view that you normally would. We'll just talk about surface styles first. So the CAD administrator would come in and find what they want to import these styles from the drawing. I'm just going to grab a couple just for this exercise. So it's now populating the database with all the necessary information. And what's going to happen is once it's in the database, we can do a lot with it with regards to textiles, blocks, and layers. So you'll see here, for example, in the 1 in 5 background here, it shows you underneath it what layers are being used for each component. Now, in this interface, we can manually bring in and change the layers that we want. Okay, so this is the first way to do it. So I'll just change one of these guys. So I'm going to come in and change it to a particular layer. Instead of CV Topo Major, I'm going to make it C Topo Major. So I want it to be a different layer. And you'll see it gets modified. Now the reason for that now is once it's been changed in the database, I'm in a completely different drawing with nothing in it. You'll see that there's no styles in it. The user would come back into that. There's the demonstration. There's the surface styles. There's the two ones that I made. I think I modified the background. I'll import them both. Okay. So once imported, we can come in and see that. And you'll notice here that it automatically changed that layer. So we extracted it from a drawing with one layer, we changed it externally, and then we were able to modify that. At the same time, as an administrator, what can also happen is you can do this in mass. So we showed you it one at a time here. What I'm going to do is there's this edit properties, which is only access for the CAD administrator that can actually edit the content. So I'm going to look at the discipline of civil, that demonstration that I just made. I'm looking for some object styles, and I'm worried about layers. So it does a quick query of the database of all the different layers that are being used. And I can sort and do whatever I like here. So for all the major layers, see there's minor, major, see the C Topo Major has already been changed. So for these two, so I can change this in mass if I wanted to. Change them all and assign a layer, just like we did before. So with those all changed, the next time that somebody inserts that style, they'll be updated. So what I'll do here is now I'll come back to this drawing. It still has those styles in it. But as a user, they come back in, and I'll go and grab everything from that and import the styles. Sure, and override everything. Okay. Now what happens is those are now all using those same layers. So as far as layers, it's a great idea. You can now modify multiple components outside of Civil 3D. Same thing, let's say I want to create a bunch of label styles. So as the administrator, I'll come in. I'll do a new style set here called labels. You'll see labels in here. And I'm going to go to general label styles, and I'll get a bunch of line styles. Okay, so you'll see there's a ton in here. I'll maybe grab a few here. Sure, I'll go ahead and override them. So it's going through the process of getting all those, and you'll see inside of these guys there's also textiles as well as the layer that it's on. What I'm going to do though is if I go to the edit properties, same thing again. So I'm going to look in the civil. I'll go into the labels that I just made. I'll look for label styles, and this time I'm going to look for textiles. So for those of you who are using these label styles a lot, it's kind of difficult to go in and change each one. It's kind of monotonous. But I can come quickly in and change it to maybe I want to use a bold style. So the next time what happens is when I insert those styles, they're automatically, that textile comes in with them and it's now been assigned. So the power that we have is since these styles are in a database, we have the ability to save feature settings, drawing settings, and styles, and change the actual content outside of Civil 3D in a nice form here. They can actually do lots of querying and figure out what's what and change all the content. Very, very powerful for now providing that to the end user quickly and easily. Finally, I'd like to discuss the way that the CAD administrator can place styles on tool palettes for easy retrieval for the end user. We have an interface that we call production palettes that will allow us to create new palettes in a standard format. And I'm just going to call this one demo. What happens is I can place these styles on these particular palettes. And I'm going to come in and do it from the civil discipline, application styles, etc. There's that demonstration that we made, and there's some surface styles that we're going to get. These are the two surface styles. I'm going to go ahead and add these to the palette. I will go ahead and save it, and we do actually have to have an ATC file that AutoCAD uses for tool palettes that we actually write to. Okay. So now what that does is those are linked in the database. Now the end user, the next time they come in, we can now start up AutoCAD, and that way now the tool palettes will be available to the end user. It's just that simple. That way the only thing that you have to do is to create groups in order for them to see it. So currently we don't see that, so I'm going to go to the Customize Palettes, and I'm going to add this new demo that we just made into that palette. Okay. Alright. So now this is a template that has that, but if I go ahead and click on these guys, it'll go ahead and say, would you like to insert it? And now you have it used. Now the end user can use these. So you basically want to create these palettes for the styles and settings you want to use most all the time. Thank you for watching this demonstration that describes how CAD Masters deals with Civil 3D styles and settings in an environment for standardization.